If this flops and people don't like it, then it's like, oh, he's just, a YouTuber. Yeah, that's just not a reality. I can't let that happen.
This episode is brought to you by Spotter. All right, Jimmy, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
This is your third time in the chair. I did want to give you some stats. Since the last time we sat down together, you've grown over 80 million subs to 242 million subscribers. Your videos since that time have done over 3.2 billion views. Your top video has over 582 million views right now.
Wow. So last time we sat down was 10 months ago?
10 months ago. Wow, you knew that exactly?
Because we gained 99 million subs in the last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's crazy, man.
And you were in an Instagram photo with Kim Kardashian.
Right. That's the most important
yes,
one.
The peak of my career.
which is why we're here.
Yes, I know. I post that photo. They're like, another podcast. Let's do it. I feel like before you continue your scripts, we should probably address the hazmat suit and the giant chocolate bar.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that one's pretty obvious. That was just product placement. But this one, I have two people trapped in a bunker. And if they survive 100 days in there, they win $500,000. Like, we literally built like a real bunker. So I don't really know why, but I thought it'd be funny if I wore a hazmat suit every time I filmed there. So we were filming that before I came here. So
that set was nice.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to talk about YouTube. We're going to talk about your main channel. We're going to talk about Feastables. But where we wanted to start was with a headline that everyone read, about a month ago. YouTuber,
I wonder what headline. What headline?
YouTuber MrBeast reportedly in talks for competition series on Amazon's Prime Video in a deal worth $100 million. Care to comment?
That was the headline. That was the thing. Yes, we're doing. We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
We were doing a streaming show, and we're doing one with Prime. This is actually, we were going to do a press release, but I knew we were going to do this podcast, so I was like, let's just make this podcast a press release. So I don't know if that's the conventional way when you do shows like this, but we've. Let me think. I probably should be careful what I say too much. I've never done a streaming show like this, so I don't with you two. I'm super open about everything. I don't. Well, I'm just trying to calculate how much I want to talk about the negotiations. There's let's just say Amazon will give us the most creative control, and by most I mean all creative control, and they'll let me do whatever I want. And other platforms, didn't. So there's a lot of. We'll see if we get into it later in this. I don't know if we want to dive into it all now, but yeah, there's a reason we went with Amazon. They're awesome. I love you guys. And I'm going to try to make the most viewed streaming show in history.
I do want to get into negotiation at some point.
Yeah.
But first,
that's a great hook. Keep watching.
What's the name of the show?
Beast Games. Right.
Okay.
I think it fits it perfectly. It's going to be, wow. This will be the first time anyone hears it. It's going to be the largest game show in history with the most contestants any game show's ever had, with the largest cash prize in history. That I'll probably reveal later, but you can imagine what the cash prize was on Squid Game, and it's higher than that. So the largest game show in history, the largest cash prize in history. And to be honest, in my opinion, like the biggest sets in history, it's the biggest everything in history. This show, we have it written now, is mind-blowing. Like, the problem is if I say anything about a particular episode, it could give a contestant that hears it a little bit of insight. It's like, it's like our normal videos, but just 20 times better. Because obviously, I don't know if that number you read is accurate or not, but I have a bigger budget. So money's not a constraint. And what we were talking about before is on YouTube, I have to make videos around titles and thumbnails. But on this show, I can do whatever I want. I can just make good content and I don't have to revolve it around a title and thumbnail. So money's not a constraint on the show. And I can also just do anything, which is like a lot more freeing than you would think. And so it's mind-blowing, the stuff we're going to be doing.
Can you give us an example there of it's a lot more freeing than you think?
Yeah.
Can you give us even one example of what does it free you up to do that you wouldn't do on YouTube?
Well, with the YouTube video, it's just kind of, it's people are clicking to watch a video around a title and thumbnail. And if you veer too far off, it's just kind of how it is on YouTube. They're just like, okay, I'll go watch another video or whatever. They just kind of, you just have to revolve it. Like if I just got up and I don't know, someone else, like Ryan Tran sat down, like your attention would just kind of, plummet. Whereas the show, when you sit down for a movie, you're kind of just like there to enjoy it and get embraced. Or in a show, you're just kind of like along for the ride. And it's not, you don't expect it to just be super cut and dry. You almost like when it does take twists and turns, you know what I mean? Which is just a whole different vibe. And so for this, I can do anything. The constraint is I have the most contestants in history. I have the largest cash prize in history. And that's it. Outside of that, I can do anything.
I actually think that the big difference there is that the end of each episode has to operate as the hook for the next episode, which is pretty different than your YouTube videos, right?
Well, we're reinventing everything. I mean, like we can, like, you know, sometimes we'll start the next challenge halfway through an episode, and like how do I say what some of this stuff is without saying it? It's like we're throwing everything out the door and just trying to really think from, you know, like first principles, what actually makes a show great. Like, you know, and like now it'll probably be 6+ hours of content, whereas my normal videos are 20 minutes. So like the character building, the storytelling will be out of this world compared to our normal videos. Like the closest video to what this would be like our ages 1 through 100, where, you know, with the cubes and stuff, but even that will pale in comparison. I'm so excited. I wish I could just say what some of the episodes are. But it's like with the streaming show, because the budgets are so big, it's like one episode, we'll just give away, you know what I mean? And that's just kind of be like a side thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a little bit of spoiler, but stuff like that. I'm so excited.
I actually think the 2 people trapped for 100 days.
Yeah.
That one for me, like that was, I think your longest video, is it not? 27 minutes?
Well, I counted to 100,000.
Yeah.
But longest video.
Sure. Most recent
video.
Of the recent era, that was your longest video. And actually one that I really enjoyed.
Same.
And the character development in that one was, I think, what kept everyone watching for a long time. Like and there was a little bit of question of like, you know, their relationship and like how they were getting along and all that. Do they hate each other? Are they actually in love? Like there was this like a lot of interesting stuff there that tapped into the character development that I think we're used to on reality TV.
So on that one, you know, if I would have done that video 18 months ago, you know, instead of being, I think that was 27 minutes, it probably would have been 12. You know, it's crazy. If I'd made content like this 4 or 5 years ago, instead of like what people would call the beastification of YouTube or whatever, I think the videos would have done better. I just kind of grew up on YouTube and I've been making content my whole life. And so like, obviously I'm much smarter at 25 than I was at 21. And so like at 21, I just thought was good content. And now I look back and I'm like, even some of our older videos, I can't watch them. I'm like, this is too much. It gives me a headache, you know? Yeah. But at the time, that's just kind of what I thought was good. And I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's just, if someone gets into making content at a young age, you kind of get to see the progression of everything they do on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And so I just find that pretty fascinating, if that makes sense.
And now people will get to see it on Amazon, which is kind of interesting in a totally new setting. Like that's a completely different storytelling challenge.
I know. I'm so excited.
And when it comes to the show,
that show's going to crush.
When it comes to the show,
I need caffeine.
Letting scenes breathe, giving people more emotion. Yeah. That's something that you guys have started to do this past year more so on YouTube.
Yep.
There are people in television that have been doing that and on streaming for like decades.
Exactly. Yep.
Are you guys going to bring people in to help with that? Or how are you guys going to look at ushering that type of storytelling in?
Yeah. Well, these episodes on the Amazon show are massive. I mean, we're already hired like 80, 90 people to help with it, and we're going to need way more. So I'm bringing a lot of people in. But no, it's going to be more in how we do our things the YouTube way. We're not going to take what we do and just completely change it all and just, you know, adapt to how the status quo is. It's going to be kind of a hybrid, because obviously there are things that, you know, game shows do well, but there are other things they don't. Like one thing I don't really like is like when there's a lot of action happening and they just cut to someone in a takeaway room, clearly filmed after and talking about it. Like preferably, which we haven't filmed it yet, but ideally we'd be able to get those kind of emotions and thoughts in the midst of the challenge, right? Which takes a lot of forethought and a lot of skill, because, you know, these aren't scripted. And so like, if you miss the shot, well, then you have to go back and get it. So it's like one take, either you get it or you don't. And that's just like one of 100 examples of ways I want to innovate and adapt, because like, I know why they don't do it, because it's very hard, right? If it's not scripted, you know, how do you get these lines you want from people while they're doing this intense challenge? So you know, and in their heads you can't. So then they just, after the show, they go, hey, say these things to a camera. And so cut from a challenge to them in a takeaway room. And like, you know, I might end up having that, but ideally I don't. So that's like one of the things we're really prepping for. And so like really knowing the pace of all the challenges and things we're going to do, and know where people will be most likely to say things, and then making sure you have a good camera shot there and like you're ready to capture it. Because I can't go, hey, say this, and then put a camera on them, because it's not scripted. You know what I mean? So just like really thinking through things at like a level that I don't think anyone has ever thought about before. And that's just like one example of it. And then just doing that like to 1,000 different ways, I think will add up where it will feel nothing like a normal game show. It will have the Beast feel, and just look more, high budget, if that makes sense.
I also think you have another tool, which is yourself. Like you are a character in the game show. So the reason why a lot of times I do that is to contextualize the emotion or contextualize whatever is happening. But you can do that, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying like with your voiceover or with even you as the host, like if you miss some context, oftentimes you go over and do voiceover to explain what's going on in the scene.
Yeah, well,
right?
ideally they're like paired together. It's like while it's happening, I'm talking to them. Because again, I would prefer to, while they're in the heat of the moment and feeling the emotion, I talk with them then and we get it like live as opposed to afterwards. But agreed. I mean, the big thing is the sets are just going to be things you've never seen before. I mean, it's actually crazy, the kind of stuff we're building. Oh my gosh. It's essentially like, because it'll be 10 or more episodes. I don't know like if we fully finalized the episode count yet, but like each one of these episodes will be bigger than the biggest YouTube video I've ever made. Right. So these are like we're talking monsters upon monsters of projects. Like picture our Squid Game, but like that's just a normal episode in this series. Like that's a bad episode. Right. You know what I mean? Like that's how far we're going with this, it's going to be pretty mind blowing.
So it's like physical challenges, mental challenges, and when can we expect roughly to watch it?
It should be later this year, but obviously I'm not going to put out something that I don't like. So fingers crossed. It's over 6 hours of content, so the editing, might end up taking an extra month or two. But it should, if everything goes to plan, be the like November, December, back half of this year.
What does the average Beast video, main channel video, cost right now?
Ooh. That's a fun one. Well, obviously it varies because 7 days on a deserted island is completely different than the video we're filming a couple of days where we have 100 people ages 1 through 100 and we're redoing that. So I think the average video right now is around $2.1 million just for the production of the video. And then obviously I have a lot of people that I pay and things like that. So if you include every cost, it's probably $3.5 million a video now. Which is, it's pretty expensive.
You remember the first time we came out here and we sat with your mom and looked at your
I do
finances?
actually. Wait, what was the cost back then?
I mean, there was videos that were around $200,000.
Yeah, and $500,000 was high.
$500,000 was high. Yeah.
Can I go back to that world?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. That was in 2021.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember. I have so many memories of. I just remember you guys sitting there, and I handed you guys pieces of paper.
You handed us your books,
and like physical copies of it, and then we were flipping through it. I do remember that.
Yeah. I just
so $500K was like
$500K was like a big one. Yeah,
like $500K is like a low price in our video now. Like not even the cost of building the sets. It's just what I give out.
The Squid Game reality show. Have you seen that?
I did. Yeah.
The budget on that, at least what I read, was $1 million an episode. And your YouTube videos, you're saying sometimes are like 2 to 3.
Oh yeah, I mean, those are some of our videos are spending 4 or 5. Yeah,
I mean, just makes me think. I can imagine, but it's hard to imagine the cost of an episode for the streaming show.
Oh, you don't understand. Like it's going to blow your mind. Like I can't. We should do one of these like the literal day after it goes live, so I can like explain like the cost and how we're building all these things. Like, I mean, I might build a city. You know what I mean? Like, we'll build a city. Like the constraints are not there for this show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's going to be crazy.
So I feel like the closest comp is obviously your videos, but then also Squid Game, the reality show. Do you feel that way or no?
No, it's completely different. It's in a whole different universe than what they do.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. It's like that, but I mean, on steroids times a billion. But yeah.
Do you have things that you liked and didn't like about that show?
I didn't finish it, to be honest, so I don't know. I thought they did good at building up certain characters, and there were like people at the start, the episodes I did watch that I was like, I really feel like I know this person, their personality. But then there would just be like 25 minutes of them just in the bunk bedroom and nothing really progressed. And, I thought there were some very clever things they did. I thought they built some very interesting characters. I just, I guess, I don't know, more the pacing, but also that's just for me personally. Other people might have liked the pacing, so.
Yeah.
Are there any unscripted shows out there that you watch or have watched in the past that you do like that have been a bit of inspiration for you?
No, not really. I mean, what we're creating is just like a different animal than anything anyone's ever done. I mean, I've told you guys some of the episodes that, a little bit creative that I can't say, and it's just like, it just doesn't exist. Yeah. Like it really doesn't.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, to be honest, this will be interesting. It'll be very, very interesting.
And how does it play with your YouTube? Like, will you still you'll upload YouTube videos at that time as well? And
of course,
how does the show, does it intermix with the YouTube channel, or how does that go?
Yeah, well, we're gonna upload more main channel videos this year than last year, while doing that monster 10 episode or plus streaming shows. So no, I mean, I don't want it to mess with the YouTube channel in any way. That has always been my number one priority and always will be, because at the end of the day, we get 200 million views a video, and that's like why I'm able to do all this other stuff. So that's why we're hiring so many people to work specifically on the streaming show. And so I have like a literal mini army on it, and the YouTube videos also will be a great way to make people aware of it. So I want to also upload on YouTube around that same time as well. So I can be like, hey, we got more over here. And
the first episode is going out on YouTube.
Yeah.
Is that
one? You'll have to fact check if I could say, but assuming they let this through, we're gonna upload not even episode 1, just kind of like like episode 0.5. Episode 0 on the YouTube channel, so people can see what it's about before they go over to Prime to watch it. Which because if I just say, hey, go watch the show on Prime, people will be like, I don't know. But if I put prelude to episode 1 on my channel, so they can really understand the vibe and be like, oh my gosh, they're going all out, then I think it'll get more people to watch it. Yeah. Which, with how much effort I'm putting into this, I need everyone to watch it. Like, I am going all out. I'm probably going to film, for this like 60 days straight, and like we're pouring every fiber of our brains into writing this show. And like I said, this is every episode will be bigger than my biggest video ever. Like, it's going to be disgusting.
What does success look like for the show for you?
I mean, ultimately at the highest level, I just want people to enjoy it. So like, success would be people watch the show and they're like, that was awesome. Like, this is, they're not just, like, obviously people will watch it because I'm making it, but watch the first episode. But ideally by the end, they're like, this was phenomenal. And regardless of Jimmy making it or anyone or a YouTuber making it, this was just like a phenomenal show, and I deeply enjoyed it. Like, that's success. And that for as many people as possible.
Got it. Quick break in the episode to tell you about a new AI tool that'll help you write better YouTube titles. It's called Title Exploder, and it's made by the sponsor of today's episode, Spotter. If you've been watching our channel, you know that over the past 2 years, Spotter has been developing a suite of AI tools alongside top creators and AI experts. These tools have been super helpful in our brainstorming process, specifically Title Exploder, which is now going to be available to creators with over 100,000 subscribers. So here's how it works. You start with a title. You can also add a description of your video. Then you can rephrase the title, shorten it, reverb it, or explode the title to give you a ton of different variations. Now, as you're going through this process, if you like part of the title, you can actually edit it and then use that new title to keep going. Once you get to a title that you like, you can save it and then keep brainstorming to get more variations. One of the coolest parts of Title Exploder is that it's conversational. As you're going through the brainstorming process, you can click this button that says "this but" and write in exactly how you want the title to change. It's a really collaborative process, and Title Exploder is directly connected to your YouTube channel, so the AI learns from your top performing videos. All of us as creators get excited about concepts or ideas for videos, but it doesn't necessarily mean we have the right title to get people to watch those ideas. So click the link in our description and sign up to see if you're eligible for Title Exploder. You'll also get updates on the latest tools from Spotter right when they drop.
Is there anything in it for you in terms of your reputation as a storyteller of like, okay, people know me as a YouTuber?
Yeah. Well, of course, my pride's on the line, because obviously if this show doesn't do well, then it's like, oh, he's just, a YouTuber. He can't. Yeah, but it's not even just me. It's also other creators. Like, it's, I take it very serious. This is why I'm putting so much effort and energy into it, because like, if this flops, then people are gonna be like, yeah, YouTubers aren't capable of, making it on streaming platforms. And I recognize it could either have a massive positive effect, and that every streaming platform is going to be throwing deals left and right at creators, or a negative effect, and people are going to go, if Jimmy couldn't make a hit show, what makes you think you can? And like, that is one of my biggest fears, is the inverse, which is why I'm not going to let that happen. Without getting into specific numbers, like I could, try to film it in like, a week or two, and just like look at this as, how can I make as much money as possible, and just like pocket a disgusting amount of money. But that's not the goal here. The goal here is to make the greatest streaming show possible, so people, look at the YouTuber, economy, and it's like, wow, they can really move the needle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is a big deal for that. This is like a historic deal in our space. And like in the past, creators and traditional media have tried things, but it's never really worked.
I know.
Right? It's never worked. And so this is like a historic moment, and also like an inflection point.
It is.
Yeah.
I know they don't work because every time I talk to stream platforms, they would always mention all the previous things they did with influencers and like, oh, it didn't work. And I'm like, well, there's a big difference between me and them. You know, they have like 2 employees, and I could have told you that would have bombed, but but yeah, I agree. Like if the show doesn't do well, people are going to use that as a means to be like, well, basically platforms would be able to use that as a way to underpay creators and be like, well, So, but if it does great, then creators can use that as a North Star to be like, we are valuable. We can succeed on other platforms. Basically what I just said. So agreed.
Is there something to like the previous creators didn't have their own production companies? So like they were relying on traditional production companies to make the show and they were just talent?
There's that. But it's also like we have the most natural crossover because we're already making big budget, high production, multi-million-dollar shoots. And like, so it's just very natural for us. I'm just taking what I'm doing and then just like, if you picture it as like a fire, I'm just pouring like gas on it. But the gas is from a truck and the hose is wide open. Like that's essentially what I'm doing.
So when we did come out here, I wanted to play a clip for you.
Oh boy.
Because this was in 2021 and we're talking about the budgets for your shows.
Yeah.
And we're also talking about you producing something for streaming.
Oh really? What did I say?
Movie studio, but you're actually even at spending $200,000 for what you're making.
Hold up. The beard back then.
My
beard? Yeah. Look at that.
Totally different guy, man.
You are. I actually don't think I would recognize you.
I told you.
He just got a new haircut,
I got a new haircut.
like,
I'm unrecognizable.
This is a different human.
Different human.
I would think this is your brother if I didn't know better.
Dude, it's been 3 years. I've aged.
Well, you have color in your beard and then the hairstyle, the combo of both.
Yeah, I've aged.
And you don't wear like colorful shirts like that anymore either.
No.
Wow, you've changed, man.
You really have.
You've changed. Yeah.
Anyways.
For what you're making for the type of distribution you're getting, it's actually way less than TV is spending.
Yeah.
Right?
I know. No, it's interesting too, because if I go to them, I'm like, hey, just for fun, I'll ask like, hey, you want to give me some money to produce a TV show? And I'm like, no. It's like, oh, it's like, okay, I guess I'll just, I have no interest in doing that type of stuff, but it's funny because sometimes I poke at them to like see if they'll give me money, and
no one is interested.
I guess they just don't believe that I can do dope stuff with like $1 million. Like even just something as simple as like $1 million an episode.
Yeah, no, agreed. Back then I had no interest in doing a streaming show because back then on my YouTube channel, I was struggling just to barely keep up, which I mean, I guess I still am. But the difference is, how many views a video was I doing back then? Like 10?
10.
Yeah. So, I mean, now we're doing on an average video of 200, 250 million, like every single video. So we've just gotten so much bigger where platforms are taking us more serious. Like back then, it was like a deal for me back then to do something on a streaming platform would have been, they tell me what I spend the money on. They tell me like what this thing is. Like I would have to write the whole show line by line, borderline script it, and then they'd have to go through and redline it. And then like all this stupid stuff, like there would have been no creative control. It would have been Beast Games, but whatever platform would have like told me what to say and do what the challenges are. It would have been cringe. Like why do they know better than me? So that's why I was so disinterested back then because, it's cliche, but I didn't have the leverage to say, hey, I know what I'm doing. Look, just trust me. No one would trust me. Now, I mean, a lot of them still didn't trust me, but one of them did. Amazon. I love you, Amazon. So now it's a lot more exciting because when I can just do whatever I want and just do what I think is a great show, which is why 200 million people show up to watch every single one of our videos, then it's like infinitely more exciting instead of, a world where I could put all this time, effort, and money into something and then an exec could just go, I don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, which I don't even... Anyways, don't get me started. Like, I feel like I've proven myself at this point, so it's still crazy, but whatever.
When it came to the negotiation, what was most important to you? Hold on. Okay. I'm going to give you the list of 3.
Okay.
Money, creative control, ownership.
Ooh, money, creative control. The first one's easy. Creative control. Like, if there's no creative control, if it's not even creative control, there's just no control of every single frame that's going out of the show, then I'm not doing it. Like, it's like, there's no way I'm coming from YouTube where I can just do whatever I want in the videos and then to a world where someone else tells me because that's just not fair to the audience, right? They're trusting when they come over that it's content that I back. And like, I just don't care what some exec says is good content. Like I literally couldn't care less. You know what I mean? I just want to make, which is what I do on YouTube, what I think is great content, what I really think the fans will enjoy and innovative, push boundaries, etc. So control, of course. And then the ownership of money, it's like, it's hard because I still reinvest everything my YouTube channel makes. Like people don't believe it when I say that. People didn't believe it when I said that 4 years ago, but still to this day, I just pour it all back in. So money to me is just a means to make great content. And so money was creative control and then control over the IP, of course, would be number 2, because obviously I don't want someone to be able to, but they're kind of the same thing, because I don't want, so those two, yes. And then the money, I just want as much as possible so I can make the show as good as possible, but not from the standpoint of making money. So that would be the third, but it's also equally important because, an extra $20 million allows me to, make that prize pool way bigger and do a bunch of other stuff,
I mentioned those 3 because I assume you got to a place where you're happy with all 3 of those.
Oh, I'm very happy, yeah.
And I feel like the reason that a lot of creators don't succeed when they work with a streamer or with traditional media is because they end up having to give up creative control.
Yep.
They don't have ownership over the IP. They create some new joint IP.
Yep.
And the last one being
money.
The last one being money.
Yeah.
The money is actually not that great in comparison to what they can make on YouTube if they're a YouTube creator at a certain scale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, agreed. And that's I don't know how hard I want to go at them right now, but it's pretty interesting because obviously I'm the biggest YouTuber in the world. So just by nature, I will have more leverage than anyone else. And even me, I'm having to tell these people why they should just let me do what I think is good content because I built the track record of it and I've proven myself. I've proven myself more than any YouTuber could ever, hope to prove themselves. And even with me, a lot of platforms are just they just don't trust you and they want creative control and they want control. The bigger one is control of the edit. So if they don't like things, they cut it out or they can make you put things in or, fabricate things if they wanted to. Not that might be why they won, but that's just a thing they can. If they have control of the edit, you basically decide everything, the narrative, what goes in, what goes out. You can, and so, if I'm struggling to get that as MrBeast, then I couldn't fathom someone with a couple million subscribers or 20 million subscribers. It's pretty wild because that also, there's just the waterfall of why that's a bad idea is I could talk for hours on because obviously then you're less passionate about it. And, I can't bring up examples from other creators, but obviously I've talked to a bunch of other creators that did shows and that's a very reoccurring theme, especially with a certain platform that we don't need to go in depth on, but that they didn't give up the platform, had the control over the edit and then, the jokes were removed. They forced them to put certain things in that, because the quotas and other stuff. And it's just just kills the vibe and it doesn't feel like their show anymore. And then it flops and the creator's well, yeah, because, this isn't what my fans were expecting. Yeah. And that's a reoccurring theme. So hopefully if this does well, I would love to, because I can't talk too much game because I need it to crush first. The more I say now, if it ends up flopping, I'm screwed. You know what I mean? I already said so much, but hopefully it ends up crushing and then people can go look, they trusted Jimmy and look what he delivered. Trust me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's also a little bit too, if you want them to be more trusting, you're probably, especially if you're smaller and you haven't proven yourself on YouTube as much, probably just need to take a little bit less of a pay cut. Because the more you're going to push these platforms for a season 1 of something you haven't proven, the more they're going to want control to kind of hedge their bet. But if you're hey, let me prove myself on season 1, I'll take a little less money. And then if I crush it, season 2, just pay me what I'm worth and you get a deal like that. I think that also would help creators. But if you ask for the world on season 1 and they have nothing to base it off of because you've never done anything on streaming,
of course.
Then obviously they're going to be okay, well now we're a little scared.
Yeah.
We want some control. But, so then just take your number, cut it in half and then just say, hey, season 2, pay me what I'm worth. And then, in season 2, they'll be way more trusting because they have a thing they can reference, if that makes sense. So it is a little bit in negotiations there too. And a lot of creators haven't done these kind of high level, very intense, things. And there's very serious ramifications because some of these deals, they'll own the IP for 10 seasons. You know what I mean? And if you're making a season every 18 months, that's basically your life,
Mm-hmm.
And so there's they don't understand the ramifications of that and a bunch of other waterfall stuff. It's stuff we just don't deal with over here on YouTube. And the thought of really realizing if I signed the wrong deal and this show does well, they just own me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so you got to negotiate very hard, which a lot of people makes them uncomfortable,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you were actively negotiating on your
of
behalf.
course.
It sounds like
this is my first time stepping out of the YouTube lane. I've been 14 years nonstop this way. And I'm I'll go dip my toe over here a little bit, but it's very scary. Yeah.
What did you learn about negotiating?
Most of it was what I said there. Because I could have obviously pushed for more and more money, but the more you push, the less control they're going to give you. So it's kind of hey, let me just prove myself and then we'll talk for season 2 and stuff like that. And also Amazon was just great. It's it was they're just letting me do whatever I think is great content and trusting me, and I love it.
Did you like fly out and like sit in a like? I'm trying to imagine the actual negotiation room.
yeah,
Were you
well,
like
that's
in
their-
like a big boardroom with them?
I was with a certain one, but no, not Amazon. And the certain one, it was an interesting conversation, which you could probably pick up what I'm based off of everything I've been saying. But no, with Amazon, they just got it. They never really. It's weird. Like other platforms, like they would never give it up. But from the first call, they were just like, "Yeah, that makes sense. You can have control." They were literally like, "We don't want it. You're the master." And I was like, "Yeah, why can't everyone just think like that?" You know what I mean?
Was there any Feastables tie-in with Amazon? Was like that part of the conversation, or is it pretty separate?
Yeah, well, you'll see when the show comes out. Okay. Obviously, I'm not going to make 6 hours of content without talking about
of course.
Feastables. Yeah.
Is that like my thought when we were talking last night about the show? I was like, are the contestants going to be selected through like people who buy Feastables, like golden ticket vibes?
Well, this is where it is a little different. I do believe there are like regulations for, game shows on streaming platforms.
Interesting.
I'm still reading them. So, YouTube's a little different than this. Because YouTube, I can just do stuff like that. I can just be like, you know what? Pull up a database of 100 people that bought chocolate bars and pick 100 random ones.
Got it.
I think I can do that over here. I don't know. So I don't want to say anything. And then someone be like, actually, that's illegal.
Right. All lawyers wear glasses. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that like that's the obvious. Like, it seems like as you're starting to move into new deals, like having the commerce tie-in and the Feastables tie-in is like, it obviously makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh wait, is the camera over there? There we go.
That's
Sorry.
your camera.
My bad.
Yeah.
I wasn't even in frame. I'm bad at this.
So can you tell us what the prize is? You tease that. No. Okay. But it's the largest prize
it's
in
the largest
game show
cash
history.
prize in history, yeah.
Yeah.
My hope for the show, outside of it being the largest cash prize, outside of it having the most amount of people, is that it still feels very YouTube.
Oh, it will.
Yeah.
Having just watched your Abandoned video, 7 days,
yeah.
There's a clip where you're flying a drone and you fly it and you land it right next to a cat.
Yeah.
Mark Rober's there as well. Like, my hope is that it's this really massive show at a crazy scale, but we still have cameos from creators at times. And it still feels at times like YouTubery in a way that, like,
100%.
When does the host of a show ever fly a drone and then you watch the feed of what it actually looks like? Like, I want it to feel still like connected to you and doing some things that you would only expect to see on YouTube.
Well, it's funny you saying that because it feels like some high level thing, but I literally was just like, "That's a cat," and I just grabbed a drone.
Totally. Yeah. There's nothing like super strategic about that.
Exactly. Especially that one, because you could argue that was very drawn out, but I was just like, it's funny. A cat walked up to the drone. Agreed. I mean, same thing. But the thing is it's just me and the boys are just naturally a little stupid and silly. And so, on set, we're just going to be doing dumb things the whole time. And then since there's always a camera on, well, the editors will be like, "Wow, that was funny." And put it in.
I mean, even just being at some main channel shoots today with you, like Chandler and Nolan were just actually making each other laugh.
Yeah.
And then it was being caught on camera, and it was making me laugh too, just sitting there. And I was like, this is like the beauty of YouTube. And I really do hope it translates. I will say the other thing is that as we were talking about this interview, Colin and I were like, is Jimmy still a YouTuber? Like being on the, the cover of Time magazine, like where you're now, ending up and now having an Amazon streaming show. It's hard to wrap our heads around you being a YouTuber. And we were having this conversation with some of your team.
Yeah.
And then they showed us this picture.
Oh gosh.
Okay. This is you recording voiceover.
Yep.
With mattresses, like a makeshift VO booth.
Yeah.
For your most recent video. And I was like, this is YouTube.
Of course.
And that was one of your best performing. The VO ended up in one of your best performing videos.
I mean, that's top 10 most viewed YouTube videos 24 hours in history, not music.
Yeah.
So, I mean, agreed. He's referencing, so I spent 7 days on a deserted island. Right after I finished, I had to do VO, but I couldn't go to a booth or anything. So we just set up a booth in a random hotel room on a random island. And I had to crank it out so we could quickly throw it in before the video went up. I mean, I still film, some months 25 days out of the month. And then the 5 days I'm not filming, I still got to do voiceovers and all this other stuff. So,
but this
I'm about as YouTuber as it gets.
Yeah, I know.
I'm more of a YouTuber, spend more time filming than probably any other YouTuber on the planet.
And this setup is like DIY. And it's like one of the most like you just said, one of the most watched videos on the platform. And it's like traditional media can't like comprehend that, right? Like that VO can just be recorded on the go and it's like, just makes it into
I mean, we literally just took all the blankets and pillows and put it up and just had this little microphone, threw it in there. Because if not, we wouldn't have uploaded. So, you got to do what you got to do.
When we talk about scale, Prime Video has like 220 million subscribers.
Okay. It seems low. I think it had more.
Does it have more?
I thought it was closer to 300.
Okay, so around, let's say 300 million then.
Yeah.
That's still, your most viewed video is, 580.
Yeah.
Do you, like, when you think about like scale, what do you think about when it comes to like going on a streaming platform where the ceiling is actually potentially lower than it is on YouTube, right?
Well, that's one of the beauties of Amazon is a lot of people do have Amazon Prime. And what's interesting is like, you could say the same thing about Squid Game, right? Like probably back then only 200 million people had Netflix accounts. But somehow everyone on the planet watched Squid Game. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, a lot of households have one account. So a lot of people go watch it with their friends or whatever. So it's like, for the most part, that applies to most shows. But like the shows that really do well and crush, for some reason, they somehow manage to just kind of transcend that barrier a little bit. Obviously, it happens a little more on Netflix than it does other platforms. But more people know about The Boys than like actively probably watch shows on Amazon Video, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's I'm hoping I can get to that point where it's, I don't know. People just find a way to watch it. Like
that's an
if it's a great
point.
show, they just do.
Yeah, because essentially you can think about it as like if someone has a Prime Video account, there might be 4 people in the household.
Exactly.
Right. So
and obviously a lot of people sign up for Prime too. So which would be great because then season 2 I could have a bigger budget and go even crazier.
Right. Is it all going to be dropped at once, all 10 episodes, or it's not weekly? Is it?
I'll be honest, I haven't put any thought into it. I've put thought into is like, how do I make this the greatest show ever? I haven't even thought of that.
What would you prefer? Or what do you prefer as a viewer? Do you
Honestly,
like to binge?
At some point, I'll probably look at the data and just kind of do whatever the data says people like. I don't know if people like the anticipation of waiting and talking about it, especially contestant-based stuff and theorizing. Yeah. So I will want whatever makes the best experience. Best experience for the viewers. So which I don't know. I can tell you that on YouTube. Back of my head. And like streaming services, I'm not even gonna I am a toddler in the streaming world. And like I've spent a ton of time watching every game show and like, studying content, but the actual back end application and like all that other stuff, like weekly drops all at once. I know nothing and I'm not even gonna act like I know anything. And so at some point I'll go like deep dive, pull all the data. Amazon will probably give me, anything I want and help me with that and then figure it out. But like right now, because we got to shoot in a couple months, like we had to like make sure we have, just the perfect, greatest, most insane episodes ever with that
concepts.
And then now we're starting to like bring them to life. And it's like, it's also one thing to write like a, episode that you're going to spend $10 million on and build like 20 just ginormous, massive sets and all these inner workings and, just to think of it and like that, even just, but then like to actually build it, it's like, it's just a whole different animal. And so like, we got to start that process now because we're going to fail a lot. Again, it's like every episode is going to be like our biggest YouTube video ever. So it's like,
and you can't really adjust in real time like you can on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like video to video on YouTube, you could probably make some pretty drastic changes.
Oh no, we will. Like just in the sense of like, like, I mean, this is what we do. Like nothing ever turns out how you want. And the thing is something can always be better. It literally can't. Like an episode, you can never like write an episode and say, this is factually perfect. Like, so even the day before, you're going to be looking at the sets and be like, actually, this could look better this way, or we could tweak this, or actually, if the lighting was there, that would hit this vibe. Like all the way up into the literal millisecond of filming, we're going to be like, optimizing and making it look better and blah, blah, blah. Because the thing is, it's never something you film is never like, okay, it's now perfect. It's just, it's close enough to perfect where I don't care to spend more time fixing it, right? It's like this, but it can always be better. It's
But once the 10 are locked, they're locked, right? And they just start coming out.
Once they're filmed,
Like if you start to understand some data about how people perceive episode 1, episode 2.
Oh, yeah. That stuff, 100%. Exactly.
There's nothing you can do if it's in episodes 3, 4,
of course,
5.
especially because it's unscripted. I mean, whatever happens. I can't change it. Yeah.
Is there any on the streaming show on the Amazon shows?
I love how you keep bringing it back.
I'm very curious about it. It's such a new thing.
Yeah,
and maybe it doesn't feel as new to you, but if you zoom,
I've been in the weeds on this project for so long.
But if you zoom out, it's a really big deal. Like it really is. And again, as
factually and metaphorically,
factually, it is the biggest deal in our space, but metaphorically, it's a big deal. I think to us because we've been on YouTube for so long and fascinated by this space for so long, and this convergence event feels like it hasn't happened
feels
yet.
like a bigger deal to other people than me because a lot of creators have always been like, saw YouTube as a launch pad to stuff like this.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I mean, if I never did a streaming show, I'd be like, all right, you know, business as usual. For the last 14 years, like I just want to be the biggest YouTuber in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it doesn't, like people keep saying that. Everyone's like they're just so like emotional over the show. And they're like, dude, this is such a big deal. And I'm like, I literally make like mini movies every 2 weeks. Like I've been doing this for years now. Like it's like
it's funny that
I was expecting, but I thought we were going to come here and everyone was going to be like Amazon. It's Amazon week. Like this is the Amazon week, and then you realize everyone's like focused on today, tomorrow, the day after,
and the next 2 weeks.
Tomorrow,
you have a lot of shoots over the next 2 weeks for main channel.
But that's where if an Amazon's employee watching, though, don't you worry. I'm all in. I'm going to make this the greatest show you've ever had. I'm putting every ounce of brain power we have, and it will be phenomenal. So don't worry. I got you. And I am very bullish. I do think it's going to be a big part of our future. But, you know.
I know Samir asked, like, do you see yourself as a YouTuber? And I think about that of like, yeah, everyone's always thought of you as a YouTuber and probably still does. Yeah. But 10 years from now, when you've got Feastables, I wonder, do people think, oh, MrBeast, he's the chocolate guy? Or do people think, you know, let's say the Amazon show goes really well and you launch an entire studio of unscripted television, streaming, whatever. Do people think, oh, that's more of like kind of a Hollywood style?
I'm always going to be a YouTuber first. I love this platform. This platform is what made me who I am. And this is my number one focus, and it always will be. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, anything behind a paywall just will never be as big as something free like YouTube. Like I hope to keep our viewership growing, and just I'm all in on YouTube. So like there's YouTube, everything else below it, and nothing else will ever be more important to me than YouTube. Like, because that's what got me here, and I'm not letting up now. I'm all in. I don't even care if the platform starts dying. I'm a YouTuber till death. Like that's the thing I always want to keep as my North Star, because like that just stupid obsession of that, is what got me here. And I do believe it will keep taking me to other places,
Here's my question. The majority of all of the space that you have here is dedicated to YouTube for the most part.
Yeah.
Where are you going to shoot the show? Like where? The
problem is if I said it would give away things, and also people would camp out there, but it'll make sense when you see it. It's a monster of a project. It's a lot of people. So yeah, it's going to, we haven't even got to spend too much time together because we've been working so much, but our studio over there, the other campus, we're building an expansion on the back.
Yeah.
It's 2 times bigger. So that won't be done in time for this, but when we do season 2, I will have a lot of space.
And is that in mind? I mean, we saw the mock-ups of it.
Are you announcing season 2?
Well, I mean, that's assuming season 1 does well. Yeah, if season 1 doesn't do well, then I'm just gonna, cry and hope no one ever remembers it.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the mock-ups of the new studio.
Yeah, well, but that's mostly for the videos. So obviously, I mean, I've said this before, but our biggest bottleneck is space because, like ages 1 through 100, those 100 cubes, that took up 40,000 square feet, like almost all over our studio. And so it's just like, if I want to upload more, and like, we're trying to get to the point where we eventually upload 3 videos a month. And, if I can find the time and not go insane, 4 videos a month weekly, that's my end goal. But that would be hard because I film on average like 6-7 days of video. So that would mean I'm literally filming every single day I'm awake.
Right.
So I don't know if we'll ever take it that far, but even then, let's say we need to work on 6 videos. I've told you this before, and 1 video takes up the entire studio space, which is, because our sets are so big and we go so all out when building these things. Like these are monster projects and they take months and months to build everything and make it look good. It's like, well, then how do you work on the other 5? Which then results in us having to do things like go film $1 versus $1 million hotel room and other stuff like that, because we can't film local because like a single video took up our whole studio space. And like,
got it.
To me, the answer isn't make the video smaller. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So that's like been a problem. And so that's why we're building more space so I can like do 2 or 3 really, really big, epic set build spectacles, which I really love doing. And it's really fun because you can be super creative. And I like just seeing the vision come to life at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
and when you build this, from what we've heard, it'll be the largest soundstage in North America.
Well, to be totally transparent, I've never looked up the database of the largest sound stages, but I've had multiple people that I do trust that they say that.
Yeah.
So take it with a grain of salt because I don't know.
Yeah.
But people are telling me it will be. I'm just like, this is what I need to make my videos because my videos are getting so big.
Right.
And they're like, Jimmy, this is larger than anyone else has. I'm like, okay, I don't care. I need it. Like, can we start building? You know what I mean? So that's kind of how these conversations keep going.
Yeah. It is interesting that there was a time where when we first came here, this was the only space.
Yeah.
This was like the main space that we're in right now.
This is what we would call just, Studio A. It's, 10,000 square feet. We used to film all our videos here, but
yeah, you see all the names written up. Like that's from a video.
Yeah, there's a lot of history here. I haven't been here in a bit. And when I walked in, I was like, oh man.
I mean, even I felt that because when we walked in here 2 years ago, like all your play buttons were on the staircase. You remember that?
Yeah.
And like walking around here, I was like, that's crazy that
we thought this was huge.
We were like, this is crazy that a YouTuber has like a warehouse space they shoot everything in.
Yeah.
But now it seems like you don't have much space. Like even the shoots that we went to today weren't inside studios. I mean, one of them is happening inside a studio. The other ones are happening. And then also the other ones are happening that need you need like 3 months to finish those videos.
Exactly. Well, he's talking about the survive 100 days in a bunker, win $500,000. Again, that's why I have a hazmat suit on. But they're gonna think I hate them. I'm selfishly covering Prime because I want to promote my brand, but not because I don't like Prime. To be clear, the Logan's gonna be like, "What the heck?"
Last time we spoke with you, you said something interesting about your brand deals. You said that like your viewership is getting to a point where it's exceeding marketers' budgets.
Yeah.
Like they can't really afford.
Oh, that is a massive problem. Yeah.
And when I hear you say that some of your videos take like $3-4 million, the cost of the video seems like it keeps going up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you have Feastables, but how do the economics make sense?
Well, luckily, as I spend more, the views go up as well. So that seems to help. I'd have to look at the data. It's been a little while, but I'm pretty sure we're doing over 200 million views. We're doing, I think in the first 30 days, the average video right now does 140 million views in the first 30. And then the first year, I think it does like 220. So it's just like, name one other avenue in the entire world right now where you could reach 220 million people. Literally.
Yeah.
It's not possible. It's literally the only way to reach that amount of people. Even, you could do the Super Bowl, but, which also works very well if you want to target Americans. The beauty of us too is we're literally all over the world. So like, you can like, factually get something in front of literal percentage points of the human population when you sponsor one of my videos. So like people who really want a global presence, it's like perfect. You know what I mean? It's just worth a lot of money to them.
So advertising is making more sense.
It's definitely going up. Yeah. It's like the thing is basically my brand deals for the videos are just basically go up as like overall the world realizes YouTubers are valuable and their marketing budgets go up because it's just basically 2024, we're going to allocate more to spending on YouTube videos, which means there's just more for me to make. But it's like, obviously these companies, they just have a set amount of money and they just can't really go above it. So I just kind of go, my brand deal rates are just whatever people have,
So when we pulled some of like your videos and the kind of general categories, I would say, of the videos in the past couple months. And then when you and I were sitting down together in Montana at Spotter Summit, you showed me the thumbnail mocks basically for the whole year.
Yep.
Right? All the videos planned out.
Yep.
And there...
You could have taken a screenshot of that and printed views. You could have predicted trends before they popped up.
But, well, I mean, what's interesting to me is that I sat next to you and I was like, well, dude, some of these aren't the trends that worked last year for you. Like you're doing new things. Mm-hmm. And I found that to be really interesting that like...
Oh, I have so many new concepts this year. Oh, you're going to get me so excited.
I asked you about $1 versus. I was like, why aren't any more? Like what's going on? You were like, well, that's done. Yeah. And I thought it was really interesting that like that is a really, I mean, that format performs really well for you.
Yeah, it crushes.
But it's
some of the literal most viewed videos in the history of YouTube. Yeah.
I think Plane Ticket's one of the most viewed videos,
well, you can look at, you can see the most viewed videos on the entire platform the last 365 days. Well, you can't see. I don't even know what I can see.
So wait, we can't.
Here, let me just pull it up so I don't actually misspeak. Hold up. Let's see. So these are the most viewed videos on the entire platform last year. This is an ad by Google, so obviously it's inflated. So if you remove the Google ad, the most viewed video in the last 365 days on the entire platform is $1 versus $500,000 private jet or whatever plane ticket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the second most viewed video on the entire platform was
1
ages 1 to 100.
Yeah.
So 348 million views. No video in the last 365 days on YouTube got more than 348 million views. That's excluding music, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
So that to me is interesting. Then,
and number 6 is $1 versus $1 million yacht. And number 10 is $1 versus $100 million car. And number 14 is $1 versus $250,000 vacation. Yeah, I mean, they're all up here. These are all world record videos.
And you don't have any $1 versus plan?
No, I'm not doing them anymore. Because
so when do you abandon a format that's working that well?
Well, at the end of the day, it's just like the way every year we've had formats that do really well. But if I just, if I kept doing the formats that were crushing back in 2020, I wouldn't be where I am now. Eventually they would fizzle out. I'm a big believer in like ending on a format while, it's not too old. And if I did that's not to say I won't do another $1 versus, I might do one here and there. But for the most part, like if I did another, I think we probably did 7 or 8, and all 7 or 8 just absolutely just went, nuclear. Yeah. But if I did like another 5, it's just like probably around the 3rd or 4th, people would start to be like, okay, like I've seen 10 of these. Like Jimmy, how many times do I need to see you look at something that costs $1 and then go look at something expensive? Like I kind of get the gist. And the ultimate problem is I only can upload so many videos, so we have so many viral, great like ideas that I want to bring to life that it's like, for other creators, I don't recommend you do what I do. You should probably milk the formats more, but there's just like so many videos I want to film and like so many different ideas that no one else is doing that I want to bring to the table that it's like, I don't want to do 15 of those because like those other 8 that I would do, I could have done something more original and creative. Like I already gave the world like what I had in that format, if that makes sense. And like people feel that energy and that keeps them excited because it's always fresh and new. And like, that's why the viewership keeps coming up, Yeah,
because you actually do like quite a wide-ranging variety of content on your channel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's actually pretty crazy.
It's actually kind of crazy.
I was weirdly thinking about that this morning. I was like, it's wild how like, I'm going to pull up the channel. So like the newest video is just me and the gang spending 7 days in an abandoned city. And then before that, it's a single contestant facing his biggest fears. And before it's us going on the private islands in the world. And then it's a person trying to protect $500,000 from me blowing up. And then it's me spending 7 days in solitary confinement. And then it's rescuing 100 abandoned dogs. And there's 2 people trapped together, building 100 wells. Yeah, it's kind of crazy just how they're all...
pretty big variety.
Especially when one of them is you spending 7 days in solitary confinement. Like some of the other ones, it's like you're the game master.
Yeah.
But I would imagine there's only so many you can do where it's like, oh, I'm buried alive for 7 days. Like,
I mean, I can't believe I did that. That one was crazy. Buried alive. And solitary. Solitary was rough.
Can we expect to see anything like that in the Amazon show where you're actually putting yourself?
The only problem is that it wouldn't fit because the whole point is down to the one to win the world's largest cash prize. So I'm always down for a challenge. And I like doing those because it shows that I will never put someone through something that I wouldn't do myself. And I actually mean it. You know what I mean? I'll bury myself alive for a month, you know what I mean, to prove a point. I prefer not to, but I can do it.
I think you should put yourself in some sort of challenge and have the contestants bet on whether they think you can do it or not.
All right, future me, when you watch this, write that down. I think there might be something there. Or just me, or maybe not even me, but just the gang, like being a part of it, which I'm thinking through the episode. There's a little bit of that in there.
I think it's just like, it's the competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, I have to be careful because there's so much just disgusting amount of money on the line that I don't want people to think I'm like influencing it or being biased. And so if I'm involved in any way, then you could be like, well, Jimmy did this because of this, or you would never. So if I am, it has to be in a way where it's like random or I can't see them or I don't know. Like
I understand that. Yeah.
Like imagine you lose, millions upon millions of dollars because, I just do something that's not fair.
You couldn't last another day doing something.
Because I just like pointed and said like, you're out, or I did something that like, so yeah, it's just a delicate line because there's so much money on the line on that show.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So can we talk about why your most recent video, Trapped on an Abandoned Island or exploring the
7 days
abandoned city, like why do you think it's performing how it's performing? Because it's performing really well right now.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll say at the start, because I might forget, is we had the guest doves on it. That do you know who it was?
Yes. So I went through. So if you guys don't know what Jimmy's talking about, if you go to like the multi-language audio on your video, I was poking through it this morning, and it has all the normal languages. Right? I mean, not normal. It has 14 languages.
Only 14?
More. It has more now.
Okay, I was gonna say it should be 20.
Yeah, it has a ton of languages just scrolling through, and then it says Klingon.
Yep.
And then it says Zulu. I was like, what? what's Klingon? And I clicked it, and that's a guest dub from Fede, right?
No, that one's
Who's that? Oh, that's MythPat?
Yeah, MythPat. He did a guest dub, and like actually, if you look at it, like 15% of my comments are about him. Doing the dubs. And the 2 videos ago before that, we had Fede, which a lot of you might not know who he is unless you do dubs, which you should, unless you hate views. Then a lot of you will. He's a large Spanish-speaking creator. He did my voice on a video, and like 20% of my comments were about it. And I did like his audio track on that video got like 5 million views. Like 5 million people clicked on the wheel, switched it to his language to listen to him voice act me. Because
it's a really interesting idea to have other YouTubers voice act you.
Did he promote it, obviously? Like say
he mentioned it, yes. Okay. But I mean, his fans,
which is
just
smart. Like that's
Well, and I did some stuff for his channel, and so it also helped him as well. But he's just like, there are a lot of people who just really love Fede and MythPat. And so it's just like, it's kind of like a win-win.
It's a cool idea.
Cross-pollinating. Yeah.
Is that something, is the Amazon show dubbed?
Oh, of course.
It'll be dubbed.
Most of my audience doesn't speak English anymore. So if it's not dubbed, there can be a lot of confused people.
And what's the impact of dubbing on the channel right now? Like how many more views do you think are happening because of dubs?
The problem is I'm not if you would have asked me like a year ago, I would know all this. I'm so like just filming all the time. I'm not as in the weeds, but we have a large Spanish speaking audience. We have a large Japanese speaking audience. We have, trying to think of some of the other hotspots. Portuguese. I mean, just honestly all over the world. Yeah. Dubs are crushing on our channel. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to start dubbing.
I mean, this one's a great one because this will have the most natural flow in because, because it'll get recommended against my videos and people will watch it.
I think that would make this the first dubbed video on our channel.
You never dubbed the last one? We talked about it. We walked down the street at 2 a.m. in pitch black.
Look, we're still working on putting graphics on the screen when you bring them up, man. Like, give us some time.
That was crazy. I have a memory of it. It was like just a blinking street light. Yeah, it was super dark, super late. We saw a turtle on the side of the road, and I'm explaining to them why they needed to dub the podcast.
True. You're right.
And I was like, you're not going to do it. And they didn't. But this time, we'll see.
This time, maybe.
Okay, wait. So hold on.
There is no maybe. This time,
this time we have to.
Because that way I can be like, look at the difference.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. This most recent video, like the one thing I did think that was interesting, you tweeted obviously kind of like a big magnum opus version of a tweet of like, it's time to slow down videos, all YouTubers, let's chill out a bit. I do feel like what you did in 30 seconds in the intro is what you used to do in 10 seconds.
Yes.
In this intro.
It doesn't feel like it, but the intros are definitely way less overstimulating.
They're still fast-paced. There's still a bit of like, we're here on this, like there's like the style of talking, there's the text.
It's louder, you borderline yelling, agreed.
But then there's these interesting moments where like there's like a sweeping drone shot after 30 seconds and it just slows down a bit. And then there's a part in the middle where you explain the history of the island. And it's kind of unlike anything I've seen in your videos before. Yeah, so I was interested, like, do you feel like, because when I looked at this video, the main thing that stuck out to me was actually the thumbnail.
Yeah, it was great.
The thumbnail was really different.
I know.
And
I love it.
What do you think it's like that mix or like what? Like, this is a really well-performing video for you.
The thumbnail is more based in realism.
Yeah, it is, which, I want to make my thumbnails more real over time. It's just, there's so much to do, but that's one of the things we're obsessing over now. And I think we just nailed it perfectly on the abandoned city. But in the content, that's I think what I said 10 months ago. Yeah. Like what's interesting is like 10 months ago, that was when we really just started going all in on it. And we had a couple of videos under our belt, like the ages 1 through 100, I believe, maybe like one other. Now we've had a bunch and it's like, I'm seeing the impact, like grocery store, like that is I think that's 25 minutes or something. I don't know, might be misquoting it, but it's a long video. We really built up that guy and just let a lot of things breathe. And the retention was phenomenal. I mean, that video is almost on 200 million views. Same thing with Trapped Together. So that format did really well, just like making the videos longer, letting things breathe, letting you really get to know the character and just like adding a little more depth to it. And, same thing with the 7 days videos, everything. Like my average video probably used to be like 11 minutes and now they're closer to 20. Like I've factually almost doubled like the length of my content. And, which is a big deal. Like no one really notices it because it's just kind of like subtle. Like the videos went from like 12 to 13 to 15 to 20, 25 over time. But like my videos are twice as long as they used to be. And they're like 30, 40% slower than they used to be. And I'm yelling probably 50, 60% less than I used to. Which
MrBeast with 50% less yelling.
Yeah, I know. Which I mean, like I looked at the old videos, I'm like, I don't even know why I was yelling. I don't know. I just that was just what I did. I think it was because like I used to not wear a lapel, and so I would talk really loud to the camera mic, and I just kind of I didn't even realize that was a habit. And like
our old videos, we're screaming.
Yeah, we're yelling too.
Yeah, and I catch myself sometimes I'm filming, and I'll just like start talking absurdly loud, and I'm like, I don't even know why I'm doing that. It's kind of like an old habit. So we kind of just like, you know, and these are all things people, you know, used to tell me and give me feedback on the videos saying they're too fast paced. And it was just like I just wasn't, you know, good enough to know how to like act on that information because it's just something you have to learn over time. And it's a skill set I never learned. And so we're just so much better at all of it now. And it just took time for me to really figure out and how to do it my way, not like you know, like I could have easily done what someone in traditional would have, but it was like figuring out how to slow down a video, but at a MrBeast style because they still are fast paced, but they're like, they're slow compared to my old stuff, but this is how it should have always been. You know what I mean? I feel like we hit a good medium now where it is just very, very enjoyable and you feel something and you leave more fulfilled watching the content and it doesn't like hurt your head to like keep up because it's so quick. You know what I mean? So where we're at now is where I wish we always were, but I just kind of.
I think that's a really good lesson for other creators watching. That like you just said, this is how it always should have been.
Yeah,
because I feel like the whole MrBeastification thing. A lot of the problem was people were trying to copy what you were doing and mimic your pacing and mimic.
Well, the problem is too, it's like people copied what I did, but there were still things I was doing right back then, but they didn't know why. They just thought fast equals good. And so it was even worse than what I was doing before. So like I was overly fast paced and like I was just missing the mark on certain things because I'm ignorant. This you gotta, you know, takes time to improve and learn. Yeah. It's the beauty though, is like I will never stop learning and improving. And I'm gonna look back at my content 3 years from now, I'm gonna look back at the content I'm making today. Probably say similar things like, oh, that was garbage. I should have been doing blank, blank, and blank because I'm just obsessed with always improving. And but yeah, back then, you know, they were a little too fast. All these other stuff lacked a little bit of depth here and there and storytelling. And so that's me. But then these other people, they don't even know like the things I was doing well. They couldn't even recognize that. So they're just like, you know, just deducing fast equals good, loud equals good. You know what I mean? And so it's an even more extrapolated out deductions from my videos and. Yeah, it was a lot of content. I mean, honestly, I'm a little grateful for it because it's what really made me take serious, like slowing things down because I would watch a lot of other, like, I guess people would call it like MrBeast clones or whatever. And it would like physically hurt my head. And I'd be like, I just don't understand why this has 1 million views. And I was like, is this how people perceive my content? Because if so, like, this is bad because like I like sometimes would put a video on like 0.75 speed and like turn the volume down. And I'm like, this is aggressive, you know? When I watch these like MrBeast clones, I can't think of like a better thing to call it. And so it was pretty eye-opening. And like actually one of the best ways for me to improve was just to watch all these, I can't think, some people would call it MrBeast ripoffs. I don't know. I don't really care too much. I mean, and I'd be like, I'd just kind of write down the things I thought was annoying. And then I just take all those things and I'd be like, okay, well, let me make sure that's not annoying and I'm not doing that in my videos. And that was like one of the best ways to improve. So without like the beastification, all the just weird, you know, low effort copies, I don't know if I would have had, if I would have adjusted and learned as fast as I did. So it was a pretty interesting thing.
It's interesting for creators who are currently being copied. Maybe spend some time watching those videos and seeing what you don't like.
Because it's really like interesting. I always wanted to tell better stories, and it's not like I was oblivious. I just didn't know how to. And like genuinely looking at other people, and instead of going, how do I make my content better? Just looking at other content and be like, well, let me just write down what I don't like. That and then like kind of just try to apply that to mine. Weirdly worked very well. So it's like that's why like. You could just, if you listen to every podcast we've ever done, it's like your videos are never perfect. You can always improve. And like, that's just like such a simple thing that I'm saying, but that for whatever reason, unlocked a third eye in my mind and allowed me to look at the problem a different way and somehow worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel that way with our thumbnails. Like every year, thumbnails get more and more important than I thought they were. And I realize how bad our thumbnails were the year before.
Yeah.
You know,
you guys have improved a lot. I remember our first roast sessions years ago. Much different than
well, it wasn't just thumbnails, actually. It was just packaging as a whole. We weren't thinking just in the direction of like, what is packaging?
I remember those conversations. They were pretty brutal.
Yeah, and it was.
Yeah, you guys, it's the difference between like, now I feel like I'm talking to like an adult theoretical.
Sure.
Back then, it felt like I was literally talking to like
Yeah.
a YouTube toddler, like a little baby.
And now we feel that at times. And I know we have, I feel like we're not an adult. We're like in our teenage years.
Or at least
like,
I
feel like though when we talk to other creators and we recognize that they can't bridge the gap on packaging yet, it is interesting that you brought that up about the Amazon show, that packaging in general, the concepts, the theories there matter, but the visualization of it per episode is not going to matter.
I can do whatever I want. Exactly.
Which is crazy because that is the whole thing. On YouTube. That is the entire thing.
The problem is like, you get it, I get it, and maybe some of the people watching get it, but like most don't understand like how important
I don't think I actually got it until recently. And I know that sounds crazy.
But the problem is you never actually get it because it's always more important than you realize.
It's more important than you realize.
Even me, I'm constantly every other month going, dang, I forgot like just how important the title and thumbnail is. And I like, you almost have to like every day, like sit in a corner and go, the title and thumbnail matters more than you think, and tell yourself that 10 times. Because if not, like I don't know. It's because it seems so insignificant until you like really think about it and you're like, at the end of the day, if they don't click, they don't watch. And that like, you can make the best content ever, but if they don't click, you're dead.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I was looking at these sketches, like these.
Yeah.
That come together, these like multi-step sketches that you do. So you're starting with like a lot of sketches for your thumbnails.
Oh, 100%.
Right? How many sketches?
I mean, it depends. That one, let me pull up the thumbnail chat. I can run you through a bunch of them. A lot. I look at a lot of thumbnails.
It is funny, that concept of like every year you realize, like it almost sounds like dumb and cliche to keep saying it, that packaging matters. But I feel like every year we've realized it's like it's on another level.
So we never used this one. But look at that.
Oh, that one's really cool. Is that for this week?
No, we didn't even A/B test it yet. We'll A/B test it next week.
That one's really cool.
That's the one that won the A/B test.
Yeah,
that one lost the A/B test.
That one's cool, but it doesn't like.
What do you think of that one?
That one's cool, but it doesn't look like you. Does that make sense?
Like, well, it's definitely
it's like further away and like not as much contrast on your face.
Agreed. And it's the buildings are more the focus.
I know this is subtle, but I couldn't believe in your thumbnail for your most recent video that you were wearing a maroon jacket.
I know, bro, it was so.
I know
weird.
that's ridiculous to say.
It was very weird.
But if you look at your other thumbnails, it's like, wow, that is bright red jacket.
These are real images of me. Like that was the only time I've ever worn a jacket like that. My whole life. Like the photo shoot, I was like,
you look borderline like you got styled in that.
Yeah, I know. I actually, honestly, we could jump into that. Like when we were doing that thumbnail shit, I was like, man, I should dress like this all the time. And then 2 seconds later, I forgot it ever existed.
Look at you now.
Brought it up.
So wait, what? Look at you now.
What, this isn't stylish? What? This isn't fashion?
For the record, we were wearing them too, and we took them off. So.
Wait, so why
you're telling me if I took this off, the Feastable shirt, this isn't culture?
I can't tell what's more culture, the Feastable shirt or the hazmat suit.
It is funny though, like that is completely different aesthetic. Those like earth tones, it's like toned down. Yeah, everything's toned down. This is now.
Well, I've been so focused on storytelling, like the content. Now we're setting our sights more on like cleaning up the thumbnails. Like the first step was like, it was just like on the content. I realized like, oh, we're too quick, and people want more story, more depth, and that went great. The first thing I did on thumbnails was like, let me just close my mouth, right? Because I do that whole open mouth thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was just what people wanted. But I always saw people kind of complaining about it. And I was like, all right, I'll address it. And I finally got around to doing an A/B test where it was just me smiling or just a normal face instead of the overly expressed open mouth. And every A/B test, the like less over the top cringe expression won. And I was like, oh, I've been doing this for quite a while. I need to go fix that. And so it's and it's kind of funny because in hindsight, once I started closing my mouth and smiling and making it a little less cringe, a lot of other creators started switching over, and I was like, ooh, probably should have done that sooner. But so I mean, people like look at us and for the most part copy a lot of what we do, and obviously not everything I do is perfect. So that's a good example. And so that was step one. The next thing is trying to make the thumbnails look a little more realistic and like just take them to the next level. And so Abandoned City, I think got it right. We're still going to miss the mark on future ones, but I think like that is like a good indicator of like where I want the thumbnails to go.
Yeah.
Do you think more realistic thumbnails that are toned down, slower videos will mean that less younger viewers will watch?
No, I don't think like younger, I mean, like even Disney shows, right? That young people watch, like they have stories, you know what I mean? And they're not just like, go watch Up, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, Up is
dude, the first 2 minutes of Up.
exactly. And like, I mean,
unbelievable.
it's, older people watch it, but the average person who watches it is probably a kid, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like the narrative that kids are overstimmed and don't have attention spans is not true. I mean, people just want good content. And just because you slow something down doesn't mean it's good content, right? Like the thing is, even though in my opinion, I was doing things slightly wrong back in the day, I still was doing cool, original, epic, viral things that were inherently interesting, right? And so like, if what you're doing is just not interesting, then no one's gonna watch it. It doesn't matter how the pace it, you know what I mean? So it's like, I wouldn't, like asking like, oh, if the video slowed down, would kids want to still watch it? Like it's just not even, like that's like asking like if you eat an orange, well, you know what an apple tastes like. It doesn't it doesn't even make sense. It's like kids like or whatever, people of all ages will watch content if it's just good content. And then, then you just optimize the pacing for what they would like, which it just needs to kind of fit, what doesn't hurt your head.
Yeah.
So dubbing is something I've been thinking about. It's like dubbing is a form of syndication where it's like taking the same video and then being able to distribute it in other ways.
Yeah.
That's also something you've been doing on X. I'm curious your experience with that.
It's so weird still hearing it.
I know. I was going to say Twitter, but I was like, did you say X? Because
X just sounds so dirty still.
It does.
Yeah.
I know.
It
X
doesn't roll off
videos
the
doesn't
tongue.
sound good.
It really doesn't. Like I post my videos on X. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it'll catch on.
No.
I don't.
I tried.
Yeah.
I've tried a few times.
Yeah.
It doesn't hit. It's Twitter.
Yeah. Even when
I
you said
refuse.
it.
Yeah.
And I've heard it many times. It still
just
causes a
doesn't
little bit
go.
of a repulse in my head. It's just like, it's like, I don't even want to go into it. It's I don't think it's the best, especially with videos. It just sounds even worse. Like
It sounds
that,
terrible.
like,
Yeah.
I posted on X. It's like fine, but when you say like I posted a video on X, it's just that's a dirty connotation.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
And the Twitter logo was great. We don't need to go into it.
Yeah. But tell us about your X videos.
Well, I mean, you can.
Just cut the pod there.
Is this the end? Have we reached the end?
No,
Is that-
but I closed my eyes and I was like, "Oh, I'm tired." But not. This is actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing very well. Like, I mean, you probably know more than me. I haven't looked at it
I mean, you're in
recently.
like the hundreds of millions of views per upload.
Per
Like
video.
I
Which is
think
kind of crazy. The same videos that do.
Yeah.
I
mean, I don't know what the retention is on there.
I mean,
Like
last time I
who
looked,
knows?
way lower than YouTube.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, people are not.
It's not the
going
same
to
consumer behavior.
X to watch videos. Yeah, and so it's not there like
Yeah.
YouTube. But it's definitely a different audience, and so it's pretty fascinating because when I post a video there, it's like sometimes when I post my YouTube videos and they go outside my core audience, like people will, for whatever reason, just get a little mad about certain little things I do here or there because they don't know the full context of everything, and like reposting those videos on X generates sometimes a little bit of that as well. And it's so fascinating because it's like, wow, these people have just never seen this video before. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people that use X that don't watch YouTube.
I bring it up because I've been thinking about, I said this to you on the phone, but I've been thinking about like new audience and like the context of how much of the Amazon show or how much of your videos you're posting on X is like net new audience.
A lot of people.
That's kind of crazy to think about.
Because I was already reaching like, I think last 90 days, 720 or 30 million unique people have seen my main channel. Unique users that you can see on the back end. That's not views. Like we've done billions of views, but that's unique. So like, I mean, there's 8 billion people on the planet. So it's almost 10% of the world like has seen one of my main channel videos on YouTube in the last 90 days. And like, which is pretty wild when you think about it. But then, I post a video over there and there are millions, some of them even tens of millions of people who have seen it, who have still never seen a MrBeast video. It's pretty crazy. But we're definitely like, I've started posting more on Instagram and those have been taking off. And now we've got multiple videos on X that have done over 100 million views. And then obviously YouTube, we've been crushing. So, and TikTok, we have been crushing. So we're definitely hitting the point now where it's pretty gnarly the amount of people who see my face and see my content. And it's just a different world like now than it was before, which I think I said last time I was on the podcast. And it's more
It's always
10 months later.
Yeah.
It's a different world.
Like you say, people who now know your face, like a different world because of your exposure. Like every 10 to 12
it's
months,
just a lot of people know who I am. I mean, it's like of all ages. Like a lot of people still assume that it's only kids that watch my content, but I mean, I take photos with 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds. Like, I mean, people of all demographics know who I am. I mean, like the Joe Rogan episode I did with him is one of the most viewed Joe Rogan episodes of all time. Like, I mean, and those things do numbers. I mean, I don't know if he's public about them, but like there are tens of millions of like people in their 40s that know me just from that Joe Rogan episode.
Right.
And, but also a lot of younger people watch the videos with their parents, and then their parents just end up liking it because these are concepts that are just very, you know, mass appealing. You know, what do we do? Whether you're 40 or, 15, like you can watch it. Like it's interesting to see what an abandoned city looks like. It's interesting to see the difference between a $1 hotel and a $1 million hotel. If anything, videos like that appeal more to people in their 40s than they do to people that are 15. And so it's just like, some things just take time, right? There's a difference between pulling theoretically 100 million views a video for a year and pulling that kind of viewership for years. And like, it just, compounds and grows on you on itself. And just so many people have seen my content now that it just like is a different world. Like everywhere I go, like people recognize me of every culture, age, everything.
What about Kim Kardashian?
My Instagram photo?
Just selfishly curious. What was that like? Like, did she...
Oh, she was super friendly.
Because she's holding a Feastables bar.
Yeah. I mean, she didn't have to do that. I'm grateful she did for the photo. No, I just bumped into her at the Super Bowl, and she had seen some of our videos, which I was like, I don't even know if she's going to know who I am. But she maybe it's because of her kids. I don't know. But
maybe also because of Pete.
Pete was, that's right. He was, I never even connected those dots. Yeah.
So you got it.
Well, so she was asked a couple of questions about some of the stuff we do. And I was just asking her about how her stuff is going on. I mean, it was Super Bowl, it's loud. So it was a couple minutes, but I mean, she seemed super chill. It was fun. It's always, in a different environment, where I could actually talk to, people of that caliber. It's always fun because, for the most part, I just work all day. Yeah. So it's always nice to like see other people who are in similar situations and just like, it just feels, it's very relieving to like be surrounded by other people who kind of get it. Because, so.
Can we talk about, just back to X?
Yeah.
What do you think, is there opportunity for video to work there on that platform? And if so, how? Like, what's your advice to the platform on?
Well, so the thing is like, part of why my videos do well with dubs and stuff is because the content transcends, culture, blah, blah. Like I keep saying, people of any age can watch it. So that's why no matter what platform I put my content on, it always does well because it's just like no matter whoever you are, you can watch it. That doesn't apply to 99.9% of people. And so that's where I don't know how, like a lot of on X, like how things do well is people retweet it and it just hits a lot of people. It's not very targeted. So if you have like niche based content, it's a lot harder to like hit that audience, especially because they don't really have an algorithm for videos yet, etc. So the answer is honestly probably the wild, wild west. And they just need like a year or two to like build it out.
Why aren't you posting shorts there? Like short form content?
I could. I didn't really think about it. I mean, it kind of started because I was curious how much revenue the video would do. And then now I just do it because it gives me more money to spend on my videos. So.
Yeah. Also, why not? Like it's the one of the few ways that's like you already have
I did it and it got over 100 million views. And I was like, okay,
why not?
I'll post another one. And I got 100 million views and I was like, I guess I'll post another one and got 100 million views. And I
don't know if
I just keep doing it because they just keep getting views.
Yeah, I feel like the short form content would do well there too.
Yeah, I could give it a try.
Like, let's try it out.
I literally haven't even thought about that.
So this is now more of a revenue question, but CNBC reported that you were doing somewhere between $600 and $700 million last year.
Last year, no. But I think they might have said that's what they thought we would do this year.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't know. I reinvest everything. So, I mean,
I guess
the revenue I do is a little irrelevant to me because I just spend it all. I don't make money.
I mean, I can see that. Like, I also just spending time with you. I have no idea when you would spend money.
I don't have the time to.
And also on what?
I'm like, literally, I'm at the point where I'm like, it's anytime I want something, I have to like slightly spend less on a video because that's how hardcore we go.
Right.
And like, it has to come from somewhere. So I'm like, can I maybe spend a little bit less on this video so I can, get a new car because my car has these problems. It's kind of funny the life I live. Because I have technically full control over everything. I know. And no one's pointing a gun to my head and making me reinvest it all. It's just like, I don't even know why.
You have full control, but you've built a situation where you barely, like, you're not in control in a certain way where you're right. You're like,
the inertia of everything I'm doing just kind of goes forward. And it's I don't.
You get in the car and I'm like, what's happening next? You're like, just Just come. I don't know. Let's go.
I really don't. I know I'm doing something important, but I just like, yeah.
I guess the question for me was like, when do you become like you're closing in on becoming $1 billion company?
In revenue?
Yeah.
The problem is I don't like to talk about money because people don't understand. They're just going to assume I have tons of money.
Understand.
I really we throw it all back. I at one point earlier this year, my personal net worth was negative because I had a tax bill and so I had to spend a little bit less on videos so I could pay myself some money, which was annoying because then I had to pay taxes on the money and pay myself. So then I had to pay myself more money just so I could cover my tax bill. Yeah. So I'm a little, I own my house, but outside I'm kind of net neutral right now in my personal life. So hopefully my videos don't just stop getting watched.
Yeah. The tax bill, that's good. Because I was going to ask you it seems like everything is just generally going well. I was going to ask you what's not going well for you right now.
What's not going well?
Yeah, or what's my hard
sleep schedule?
What's hard for you right now?
This is a lot. It's I was pushing myself to my limit when I was just growing the YouTube channel because obviously we grew faster than any YouTube channel ever in history, and that was hard. But now doing that again, like we talked about before, while doing the streaming show, while trying to lift weights. Because I used to be fat as hell, and I'm working on that, and that's still a struggle. And then while building Feastables at the same time, it's I'm essentially doing what I was doing before, and I was already at my limit, going harder than any human could. Not listening to music, not playing video games, not doing shows, just full on obsessed. But now I'm doing that kind of across 4 things.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. It's very, very intense. And, and this is one thing I've always said is creators shouldn't emulate me and want to be me. This is the lifestyle I'm living. I don't think anyone would really find fun. I don't know. I'm just a little different. And it's, there are hundreds upon hundreds of people that if I just take weekends off and I don't film, it would be hard to pay them, because we go so intense. There's a lot of pressure on my back. There's a lot of people that depend on me in my own company that feed their families. There are 100 million people that, everything I put out, they watch and they have a very high expectation.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of people that depend on me. It's a lot of eyeballs. It's a lot of everything. And to have all that and to just also go nonstop every waking hour of the day, it's pretty intense. But weirdly, this is just, I'm in control. And this is just the life I, for whatever reason, want. I really couldn't tell you why I structured my life the way I am. It's funny seeing it come to fruition because when I was 20, I was I'm going to remove everything that isn't, growing the channel and all these stupid things. And I got rid of video games outside of for the gaming channel, but we don't really do that anymore. So I actually literally I don't play video games. I got rid of everything in my life and I just made it as efficient as possible to work. And I was always this is, this is where I want 100% of my time to go. And it took a while, but now I've been in that flow state for 2 years now where it's literally all I do is I sleep and then I'm pushing forward one of the companies or whatever. And it's pretty intense. So anyways, to bring it all back, definitely don't recommend creators emulate my lifestyle. I don't think they should. I don't even know why.
Yeah, it's not aspirational for me.
Yeah,
when I come here, I'm I really like spending time here.
But the thing I want the most right now is just sleep. That. It's not even the saying, a sick man only wants one thing, a healthy man wants a bunch. It's a person who works this much only wants one thing, and it's to just have a full sleep one night. What I mean? So.
I like Chandler's. I was looking at Chandler and Nolan. I was like, that looks like a fun job.
That's a nice role.
Yeah. No, they're great. It's they put in the work. They do the 7-day videos, but obviously it's not to the level I have. And that would be where I think most people would find their happiness and rhythm. This I don't know. This is just this is weird. The life I'm living right now is very intense, very weird. So that's where, Anyways, the closing statement is: please do not model your channel after this. You don't want to. I don't know why you'd want to film 25 days a month and spend the other 5 working on all the back end stuff and everything else. You know what I mean?
Does anyone or can anyone convince you to slow down? On a random Saturday morning?
The problem is, what would I spend the time doing? I try to play video games now. I just can't. I try to, I still keep up with YouTube because I want to understand what's going on. So I'll watch a little bit of YouTube, but what else would I do?
Yeah, I guess if you don't want to do anything else,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
I really don't. So that's the
it.
problem I keep running into is like, I did carve out like 3 or 4 hours one day, and I was just like, I sat at a computer. I was like, I don't even, like, I tried playing Fortnite.
I don't know, dude. We played basketball for hours. And
that was fun. Yeah, but that's where
yeah.
in my schedule I do working out. And so that is something I currently do.
Yeah. That was a good time.
Yeah, and I would love to do that, but the problem is I got to get my sleep hours up because just like the lifting weights is draining enough. I threw basketball on that, like I wouldn't be able to keep my eyes open during the day, so I gotta get my sleep back up before I can start doing it. That would be great. Yeah. But outside of exercising, it's like just I don't know really. I mean, what do you guys do in your free time?
I actually, not that
get
much.
a coffee,
just
take a walk.
Walk around with my wife. Yeah, that's all.
And so it's just like, what even is there to do? Anyways, that's a whole theoretical thing we could talk about for an hour plus. But yeah,
is there a philanthropy tie-in, or do you have like a big philanthropic effort this year? Like,
of course,
like you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might be a little too early to talk about. That's another thing that's been taking up an absurd amount of my time. Is obviously like, Team Trees, Team C's. It's been a few years. We might do something this year.
So you're picking this year to do another
if you're
one.
a big YouTuber, let me know if you're interested. But yeah, it's a little too early. Yeah. But yeah.
Does the negative feedback that you get at times about like altruism as content, does that affect you at all?
No, I couldn't care less. As long as what I am doing, I believe is morally good and actually helps people. Why does it matter that someone is like pretend being mad? Or maybe they're really mad. I don't know. But I mean, I'm not going to not go cure 1,000 blind people because someone isn't okay with it. It's like, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it anyways. I don't know what to tell you. You know what
I mean, I'm of that belief as well. Because like, if you the alternative is what? It doesn't happen?
Exactly. If you let like the internet be your like compass, it's like, it's going to be wishy-washy all over the place. You're never going to please anyone. You have to like at some point like decide like this is where the line is. And like for me, like I know what I think is good and actually makes a positive impact. And as long as that's what I truly believe, then like I really couldn't care less, Yeah. Which I think is very freeing, and a lot of creators need to be able to get to that point. If not, it's like that kind of stuff would torment them.
I do think that takes work as a creator sometimes, is to understand like where's your line, what are you truly confident in, and then just being like, yeah, that's what I'm confident in. I'm happy to say it. I believe it. Yeah. And to make your actions with what you truly know you believe.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a loud minority.
Definitely.
I
mean, but yeah, I don't know. It's like I also get 200 million views of video, so like loud minority, exactly. Like okay, 10,000 people might be like,
that's what I mean.
Blah, blah, blah. It's like it's like literally 0.0000001%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like who cares? And especially the Beast Philanthropy channel too. The videos have been getting much better. We got some crazy projects this year as well.
Yeah,
which I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. You're doing a lot this year.
I know.
There's all kinds of stuff.
Might bring back the gaming channel at some point.
Seriously?
Wow.
Potentially.
Really?
We'll see.
That's interesting because that to me, like I fully understand the like scale back on the second channels or like the additional like Beast Gaming.
Yeah, the problem is
Reacts.
the gaming channel, A, was honestly fun to film if I had the time, but also B, those videos were averaging like 70 million views.
Yeah.
And they were really funny. I kind of miss, I honestly, God, I would love watching the videos. Like they were just really fun to watch.
It's also more of your personality.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, that used to be the nice part about it when my videos were less personality. Our personalities are more in our main channel videos, so it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
Like the newer video, like I'm talking more in that video than I ever have in a video. So, but yeah, like 2 years
There's almost
ago,
like a vlog feel to the most recent video.
Yeah.
You're obviously not always holding the camera, but there's a vlog feel.
That video will probably do 250 million views, somewhere around there, 300 million. And yeah, it's like that many people are just, hanging out with me for a couple of days and I'm just talking to them. It's pretty crazy when you think about it.
It is crazy.
For like literally 10 minutes, they just watch me talk. Like I think
they're probably watching you talk for longer here, but yeah.
But
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I mean, hundreds of millions of people are watching you talk for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think the average view duration on a video would be like 11 minutes. So like on average, they'll watch 11 minutes of me just blabbing away. It's kind of funny when you think about it.
And it builds a totally different connection.
I like to think about it think about it like pre-television, pre-radio. So like whatever, 100 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like how much time would it have taken to talk to that many people? Like forever. You know, imagine like even if you filled coliseums, like it would take your entire life just to reach. It's so fascinating what the internet has done in such a short amount of time. You can film something and reach more people than people 100 years ago could have reached in their entire life if that's all they did in just a single YouTube video.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
There's going to be a lot of YouTube content around the Amazon show, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Like imagine the finalists.
People reacting
I'm going
to
to have a lot of YouTubers in it. I mean, a lot.
Ludwig's going to react to it live. Everyone's going to, it's going to be, everywhere.
A lot of YouTubers will be in that. And a lot of celebrities will be in it too. I wish I can't say them, but a lot of celebrities. People are going to, like that, the trailer, I could literally just list the people in it and people would be like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like just not even show any content, just be a slideshow of the names of the people that will be in the show. And like people are going to lose their minds. So it's like, I'm not like leaving any stone unturned. Look, think of all the people, like celebrities we started having in our videos. Think of that times like 10. I'm going as hard as I can to get as many people that everyone would find interesting as possible.
It's great.
I'm just excited because the buck stops with you and everyone knows who you are. It's very different than like a lot of the reality shows out there where it's like, if a reality show or an unscripted show, a competition series is bad, I'm just like, all right, next.
Yeah.
There's so much more on the line.
It's kind of like boxing, not as.
This is your YouTube
This is
boxing.
my version of YouTube boxing that you get in the ring and you either come out victorious or you look like a dork and, you just got the piss knocked out of you in front of millions of people. And like, it's winners take all in terms of like brand and boxing. So a little bit like that for me here. It's like, I'm putting it all on the line, and either like there is no failure. Like if it doesn't do well, and people don't like it, then it's like, that's just not a reality. I can't let that happen. It has to be a phenomenal show.
All right. Let's see what happens.
I agree. Well, this was fun. Thanks for having me. This is
fun, man.
Yeah.
We'll see you next year.
I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah.
Time to go get some sleep.